This is a video about fractions involving BODMAS, or also known as BODMAS. Okay, so just to remind yourself of what BODMAS is all about. So BODMAS is the order of operations, and you always start with brackets. So if your sum has brackets in it, first you do that. Then either the of, or if there's indices involved, division, multiplication, addition, and then finally with subtraction. Okay, so remembering the word of BODMAS, it helps us remember the order on which you do a set of operations. So in order to do BODMAS with fractions, you need to be able to do all four operations. Okay, so you need to be able to do your addition and subtraction of fractions and your multiplication and division of fractions. Okay, you need to be quite confident with all four before moving on to this. I'm going to walk you through an example, and then there's a further two examples where you can pause the video, try it for yourself, and then you can review the answers. So for this first example here, you've got 6 2/3 of 4/5 minus 3/4. So you'll notice we've got brackets. Now according to BODMAS, brackets is the first thing that you should deal with. What I've also done in this first line of working is I've changed my mixed number to an improper fraction. So 6 times 3 is 18, plus the 2 gives me 20. So that's why it's 20/3. And I've also changed the word of to a multiplication. Okay, so my very first line, I haven't done anything really other than change my mixed number to an improper fraction and change the of to a multiplication. But in terms of actually dealing with the sum, I know I must deal with the bracket first. Okay, so these fractions here, 4/5 minus 3/4. So when you're adding or subtracting fractions, remember you need the lowest common multiple because the denominators must be the same. So the lowest common multiple of 5 and 4 is 20. In other words, the first number to appear in both the 5 and the 4 times table is 20. Now remember, you need to make sure your fractions are equivalent. In other words, if I've multiplied the 5 by 4 to get to 20, I must also do the same to the 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. The second fraction, I had to multiply the 4 by 5 to get to 20. Therefore, I must multiply the 3 by the 5 as well. So 3 times 5 is 15. I like to think of it, whatever you do at the bottom, you must do it at the top. So now that the denominators are the same, I now have 16/20 take away 15/20. You'll notice I haven't changed this 20/3, that's staying the same. I'll leave it there. Just make sure you deal with this first, the brackets first. So that's going to leave me with 1/20. Yeah, 16/20 take away 15/20 will leave me with 1/20. We're also now going to have to deal with the multiplication. You'll notice I have simplified diagonally, which you should always do with multiplication. It will make your life a lot easier. So clearly 20 and 20 are both divisible by 20. So 20 divided by 1 is 1. And then do the same thing to the other 20. 20 divided by 20 is 1. Doing so makes the next bit of working very easy, because then when you multiply the numerators together, it's just 1 times 1. And then when you multiply the denominators together, it's 3 times 1. So your very final answer is 1/3. Okay, here's the first example I'd like you to try for yourself. So if you can pause the video just now, and then when you hit play again, I'll reveal the answers. Okay, so hopefully you've tried it for yourself now. The first step you should have taken was maybe to rewrite the question out, changing your mixed number to an improper fraction for this one, and also changing the of to a multiplication. So 7/3 plus 5/6 times 7/5 is what we should have. Now, using our order of operations, it means that you must do the multiplication part first And of course, as I said in the previous example, if you can simplify diagonally, please do so. And again, I've got 5s opposite or diagonal to each other, so 5 divided by 5 is 1. And it means that when you multiply 1 and 7 together, you'll get 7. And when you multiply 6 and 1 together, you will get 6. So your next line of working will be 7 over 3 plus 7 over 6. You've got an addition of fractions here, so you need your denominator to be the same. The lowest common multiple of 3 and 6 is 6. So doing whatever you've done to the bottom, you must do to the top. So we've multiplied each of them by 2. Add your numerators together to give you 21. Remember, try not leave it as an improper fraction. You should really leave it as a mixed number. So 6 goes into 21 3 times with 3 left over. Careful not to leave it like that. Remember, your answer must always be in a fully simplified form. So if you left it like this, unfortunately, you would lose the last line of mark. 3 over 6 can of course be simplified to a half. Okay, so 3.5 is your final answer. Here's the last example. Again, if you pause the video and give it a wee go for yourself first, and then when you play it, I can run through the solution. Okay, so now that you've had a wee go for yourself, let's see how to do it, and let's see if it matches up to your working. So again, I've got a mixed number involved here, so I'm going to change that to an improper fraction. So 1 3/4, right? So 1 times 4 is 4, plus the 3 gives me 7, so that gives me 7 over 4. Now, brackets involved again, so BODMAS starts with B, meaning brackets is what you're going to deal with first. So you'll deal with this addition of fractions, making sure you've got the lowest common multiple, which is 8. Whatever you do at the bottom, do at the top. So we've multiplied by 2. Now that they're the same, we can add them together. So that'll give me 17 over 8. You'll notice from this line here to the next line, I've changed it to a multiplication. So using your knowledge, I suppose, of algebra at this point, if you had a number and then you had terms within a bracket, that number would be multiplying the bracket. Okay, so I could have kept my brackets in there, but I've replaced it with a multiplication to show you that the 2 over 7 is multiplying the bracket. So again, because we are multiplying, you should be simplifying diagonally. So the 2 and the 8 are diagonal to each other and they can both be divided by 2. And then multiplying the numerators together and the denominators together will give me 17 over 28. And that's your final answer.